I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. I was lost until I found that I'm invincible. Nobody gon' bring me down. Here we go.
Morning everyone, welcome to Bilbao, Spain. And welcome to the European Championships. So this is my first race that I'm representing Team GB in my age group, which I qualified for last year at Weymouth, if you've missed out on that. So it's, believe it or not, it is actually almost 8 o'clock in the morning. It's still quite dark here. I'm out looking for a coffee. I'm also looking to see where registration is so I can get there this morning. It's a little bit cold, but that's fine. Should have bought a jumper. Anyway, let's talk about the race. So going into this race, I haven't had the smoothest of build-ups. However, don't want to make excuses. I've said all along I just want to go and enjoy the experience, which I'm happy to be doing, and that is still very much the case. Obviously I want to give it my best. I don't want to get embarrassed in the race and not do well. However, at the same time, I do appreciate I'm probably not at the same level of fitness as I was going into Weymouth last year when I qualified, and also qualified for the World Champs. So we'll see. But what will be interesting is the training that I've done this time around has been very different to the build-up, and I'm not saying that's the reason. I mean, I've been unwell, so I've had food poisoning recently. I was sick earlier in the year, but then also, if you've been following along, you'll know that I've also been doing a lot more gym work, focusing on the strength and not following the session plans as much. So it's all my own fault. However, on the flip side of that, I've also had some of my best splits on the run and on the bike. So we're just gonna see how it goes. What's interesting as well is the race is only at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's really weird for me. I'm an early bird. I wake up really early and I quite like getting going first thing in the morning. That's probably when I'm at my best. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll be honest, I'm pretty much winding down for the day. So we'll see. I've got to fetch my wife from the airport tonight, so it's going to be a late night. She's only getting in late tonight, then we get back to the hotel. It's been a bit of a nightmare just trying to juggle driving on the wrong side of the road, on the wrong side of the car as well. But anyway, we're here safe and sound. The bike arrived safe and sound as well, which is brilliant. From what I've seen of the city, it's really nice as well. I just don't know if you can see much in this light, but anyway, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to share the journey with you, or not the journey, the race weekend and the build-up. I'm going to try and make the most of it. Hopefully meet a lot of people from Instagram that I know, some of you on this YouTube as well, so it'll be nice to meet you all. And I'm just going to try, like I said in the very beginning of the sort of the build-up to this, is just really take the opportunity to enjoy the experience of race day, something which I've yet to do because I'm normally putting myself through hell just to, not to get round, but to do well. So let's be honest, it is about doing well, and I always push myself to do that. On the flip side, I'm also thinking, you know, I've always said all along that I'm going to be going into this race and just enjoying it and not really worrying about position, as long as I, you know, don't get embarrassed and still put in a good performance. It's more about soaking up the atmosphere and enjoying the experience. However, I know when that gun goes, that's probably all going to fall apart, and it's going to be just go. Give it everything, which is probably what's going to happen. That's when it's going to be interesting to see whether the training was enough. However, if it's not, I've got just over 3 weeks when I get back to get myself into shape for World Champs, which let's see how this goes, but that will be the plan. Just give it everything leading up to going to Utah, making sure that I'm not going to World Champs and being embarrassed, that's for sure. I put in too much work to get there, so I'm not gonna ruin it by not getting prepared properly. But let's see. I will share the next couple of days with you. Hopefully Emma can get some footage on the race, so it's not just me talking, and hopefully I find a coffee, but I'll see you later. Finally got a coffee, and I've been walking around for over an hour now trying to find where I register, but I managed to ask the guy who conveniently was, or conveniently for me anyway, was from Portsmouth in England, so that really helped with the language barrier, but he told me where to go. So I was walking in the wrong direction to where I need to be. So not only did I get a coffee, I got directions, and there it is. That little white tent over there, or big white tent over there, is where I register. So not sure what time it opens, but at least I found it, and I'm only just over a kilometer away from the hotel to where I need to be, so it's not a massive problem. If I need to come back later, I've already done 8,500 steps this morning just trying to find this place, so is what it is. I think this is where we'll be doing the swim. Not 100% sure, but it makes sense because that's where the starts is and the finish, it looks like, but I will get updates at the briefing later today.
Invincible.
Bike's all racked now, run bags up. This is the most unorganized event I think I've ever been to, so really frustrating, but everyone's saying the same thing, so we're all in the same boat. Anyway, it's now a couple of hours till race day, so I'll go get some lunch and then head back to the swim.
Deep in the dark, down on my knees, I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. I was lost until I found that I'm invincible. Nobody gon' bring me down. Here we go.
Well done, Jay. Are you okay? Come on, Jay. Well done. This is it now. You're done.
So now I've had a few a couple of days to digest the race and really reflect back on sort of what went well, what didn't go so well. I thought I'd give a recap. Now I did a written recap on Instagram, so if you've read that, it will sort of align with what I'm going to say now. So I just wanted to say, you know, the race, although I'm not overly happy with the overall performance, I think I'm maybe being a little bit too harsh on myself. But anyway, let's look at it. Let me just firstly talk about the event. So I think I mentioned it earlier, but it's one of the worst events in terms of communications and just sort of general organization. It was chaos just in the build up to it. I'm not saying that has any effect on the race, just that's some feedback on the event. So really bad in terms of organization from the event organizers. So the race, let's look at it. So I mentioned about starting later in the day. I really think that had a massive effect on me anyway, but everything considered, everyone was in the same boat. So like I've said all along, you know, weather conditions, time of start of race, etc. Everyone's all in the same position. But for me personally, don't think that played to my advantage. But the swim felt really good, and I actually felt like I was flying on the swim. I felt strong. I was passing loads of people. It just felt like a really good swim. So I was very surprised when I came out of the swim and it was a 35-minute swim. So it was bang on the distance, which was good. So it didn't measure long, it didn't measure short. So in terms of sighting, that was spot on. I know a lot of people missed the turnaround point because the boys blended in with the wall, etc. I had none of those issues, so that was fine. So overall, swim was good. Transition, it was chaos, and this was one of the things with the event. So I then ran into transition to grab my bag with my cycling gear in. Now I had everything on my bike already, but I needed to put my wetsuit into the transition bag, and it wasn't where I left it. And I'm running around looking for my bag. I knew exactly where I left it because I was lucky enough that I was on the third row in, right on the end. So I knew when I left, I always walk transition and I understand where I am, and I kind of mentally prepare so that under the chaos of race situation, I know where I'm going to not waste any time. Anyway, couldn't find it. One of the people I was asking was like, where's my bag? Pointing at the number on my arm to say, where's the bag? She didn't understand what I was saying. I didn't understand what she was saying. She started speaking Spanish back to me. So it was language barrier. Then eventually someone came over and said, we moved the bags around. So this was after I'd already racked up for the day, left transition, come back, and they had reorganized everything. So I'm sure loads of people have the same thing. But anyway, really frustrating. So that mentally now is messing with me because I'm now delayed running around looking for my bag. Anyway, got that sorted, got out onto the bike. 10 meters sort of out of the bike exit, I'd left my shoes clipped on because I decided I wouldn't wear socks because it was raining. I thought I'd rather come in for the run, put some dry socks on and go out on the run in dry socks. Anyway, that's what I decided. So my shoes were clipped into the pedals already, ran out, hopped on the bike, started then strapping my feet once they're in. So I went down to do the strap on my left foot, and I'd taken my eye off the road for just a second, and we weren't even on the road just yet. We were on like sort of a bridge going over onto the road, and next minute, as I bend down to put my strap on, I just feel myself flipping over. So what had happened is my front wheel got caught in between the road and the side, like there was a bridge, some railings, and there was a gap, and it was literally the width of my tire. So I mean, it was snug in there. I damaged my wheel massively trying to just pull it out. But anyway, I flipped over, I luckily counterbalanced, managed to get myself back down. But in the interim, because of that, because I'd flipped that way, the handlebars bent. It obviously pushed something with the wheel, moved the wheel alignment, so now my brakes were rubbing, which I didn't realize until probably 10 miles into the ride when it just got a bit trickier. Well, not trickier, it just felt really hard and I could hear this like sort of grinding noise. Anyway, I now know my brakes were rubbing. So the bike was awful. So I had, it was a lot of people flying past me, which was really mentally destroying, but I now know sort of why, which has helped a little bit, but then again, frustrating that happened. But again, out of my control, nothing I can do. So things happen. But I did a 240 bike, so very disappointed at that. But what that did also mean was, because my brakes were rubbing the whole way, the conditions were horrible. There was a lot of climbing in the bike, which wasn't expected. I spoke to someone on the Friday and he said, oh, it's dead flat. It definitely was. There's over 3,500 feet of climbing. In wet conditions, very technical course, in my opinion anyway, a lot of winding roads going downhill. Anyway, I got the bike done 2 hours 40. So I left the bike really tired, really sore. My hips and quads were just, they were on fire when I got off the bike. Now I know obviously why. Got onto the run and I changed strategy on the run. So normally what I do is I tend to go out quite quickly. So my first sort of 5K is generally in and around sort of 18, 19 minutes, which is just too quick. I'm not going to hold that pace. So I said, I want to run a sub 130. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of it's just under 7 minute miling. So I think it's 6:57. It's around 420K. So I'm going to stick to that and sort of just hold that for the whole race rather than go out fast and then slowly bring the pace down, which I try to do, or I normally try and do. But anyway, so I was sticking to my plan and it was going really well, probably up into the halfway point, and then I just sort of started dropping, and not massively. I ran a 135, so overall I'm pretty happy with that. It could have been a bit better had the bike gone a little bit different, but anyway, it is what it is. So ran a 135. 4 loops on the run, loads of crowds, which was great. So there's a lot of support, and you ran through the town centre. So it was a really nice run actually. And the 4, although it felt really long with the loops, it wasn't actually that bad. And then that was the race. So overall, a bit disappointed. I now at least know that there's not a load of panic going into Utah now, that I'm thinking, God, I really should have maybe stuck a lot more to my training. As in, like I spoke about in the beginning, where I've sort of didn't prepare as probably as much as I should have, but at the same time I was doing better splits in the build-up than I have ever done before. So we won't know, and I guess that's just racing, so we will never know now either. But I've got 3 weeks. Excuse me. So I've got 3 weeks after this week to build for Utah, and I'm going to recover this week, do some. I went to the gym this morning, so I'm back in training to build some strength up this week. A couple of small runs, maybe a bike on the week, definitely a bike on the weekend, and then next week sort of all out training again for the next 3 weeks. Taper for a week, do Utah. That is the plan anyway. So recap quickly, if I can get my words out, sorry. So love the experience, love the event. Overall, like I say, it needed a few tweaks with the organization of it, but overall really loved being part of Team GB for my first race in my age group. That was brilliant. Love to qualify and do that again next year in Ibiza, where it is. Hopefully better weather that time as well, which would make be different, wouldn't it? I guess the weather is one of those things, it's just, you never know, but it does always make for a better day if the weather's nice. So that is what I'll be hoping for next year again, but I think there's a lot of work to be done. I don't even know what my races are going to look like after Utah or for next year. I haven't even given a thought. Part of that is why I sort of got rid of the canyon, and I'm probably gonna have to do another video on that because I'm getting a load of questions on that as well. It's also hard to say because I've had a lot of questions on whether there's a big difference between the two. 100% at my level, I don't think there will be. Wouldn't notice any difference. So I don't think that there's, apart from the color of the bike, it's probably putting out the same. But I'll do a full video on that anyway, because like I say, a lot of people have asked me on that, so I will get around to doing that. But hopefully that's been of interest. It's a longer video, so if you've made it this far, as always, thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Had a load of new subscribers, which is really nice, and I appreciate every one of you and all of those that have been from the start. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.